How you doing? I'm Sparky from the band Dying Fetus. I'm one of the guitarists. I've been in the band since December of 1998, and we're on the Death Across America tour with Vader, Cephalic Carnage, and now Origin has joined. And we're here tonight at Smiler Coogan's in Chicago, Illinois.
The famous kitchen.
Okay.
So when did you guys form?
The band originally formed in 1992 with John and Jason, who are now the guitarist and bass player. John originally was a drummer, and they had a different guitarist who subsequently left the band. Then they went out and got another guitarist and another drummer. And the first CD here, Infatuation and Malevolence, is actually the first two demos Dying Fetus recorded combined into one. It was originally released on Wild Rags Records, but they have since gone out of business, so we now press these on Blunt Force Records, which is our own record label.
Now, before we get to the next album and other things you've done, the name itself, Dying Fetus, is very controversial. Where did you get that name?
I believe that originally the name was going to be Dead Fetus, and then the guys found out that there was another band named Dead Fetus, so they decided to change it to Dying Fetus. I think mostly it's just a name that's catchy and is supposed to be controversial, keep your attention, something that'll stick with you. Either you're going to love it or you're going to hate it the first time you hear it.
Now, how does the media react to a name like that?
So far, everything's been...
the death metal media knows what it's all about, but I'm asking about the outside media.
We haven't really gotten a tremendous amount of coverage in normal overground types of media, but now with our signing to Relapse and the release of the album this year, probably more and more we'll start to get more either favorable or unfavorable reactions from people in the normal media. But so far, there hasn't been anything unfavorable. There hasn't been any kind of problems other than Best Buy doesn't want to carry our album right now, but we're working on that.
So how did you get hooked up with Wild Rags? I mean, that's kind of a legendary magazine and a label.
Basically, at the point in time the band started, you know, there was no money for the band to press anything themselves. At that point in time, people were still doing cassette demos. I don't know whether they contacted Wild Rags or it was vice versa, but a lot of bands like Internal Bleeding and Deeds of Flesh, Sadistic Content were all on that label at that point in time. And the guys, you know, saw that as an opportunity to get CDs, to be able to get the name out and all the promotion that Richard C. did for everybody. And so they determined at that point in time it was a good situation to go ahead and, you know, let him press the CDs and do all the stuff that he did really well on the promotional end.
Now, you mentioned that Wild Rags is no longer doing things, but you guys are doing things, so what happened next?
Well, after the Wild Rags thing ended, or actually they were still going on, but then the band went ahead and recorded another album, which is Purification Through Violence, which came out in 1996. And this CD was released on Pulverizer Records here in the United States and was subsequently licensed to Die Hard Records in Denmark and for release in Europe. The band went out and did a tour in 1996, the first tour of the U.S. with Cataclysm and Monstrosity, which went very well. It's like 25 dates in the U.S. and Canada. And took out more ads for themselves. You know, I wasn't at the band at this point. I was just a roadie, so I do know the history, even though I wasn't actually playing in the band at that point. So that album did fairly well and stuff in the underground, favorable reviews and stuff like that. And then in 1998.
Now, before we get to this,
okay.
It's funny, second label you mentioned, Pulverizer, is out of business.
Right, out of business. So that's a running theme. So this CD here as well is also released now on Blunt Force Records, which is our record label. We took over the masters and everything and went ahead and released it.
Available?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Go on.
So then in 1998, Dying Fetus released Killing on Adrenaline, which was released here in the United States on Blunt Force and in Europe on Morbid Records. Fetus went out on a tour in the summer of '98 with Deeds of Flesh here in the United States. It was a 5.5-week tour, also included Canada. And then after that, went over to Europe for 4 weeks with Deranged and Defaced Creation. Morbid Records brought the band over there. That was the first time the band had ever been to Europe. And it was like 25 shows over a period of a month in 10 countries, and the tour went very well. Then after that tour was over, we took a little bit of a break. I ended up in the band in December of that year, so I had to learn all the material myself. And then in 1999, Fetus went out and did a couple weeks worth of touring by themselves in the western part of the U.S., in addition to hitting all the normal festivals like Metal Fest in Milwaukee, then New England Metal and Hardcore Fest, March Metal Meltdown, all the, you know, the different regional metal festivals and what have you. Then we decided, because it had been a great length of time between the time that Killing on Adrenaline came out and when the next album was going to be out, we decided to release an EP entitled Grotesque Impalement, which has 2 songs that were originally contained on the original demo. We redid them because the production was better, a new drummer and everything like that. There's also a song from a band Next Step Up and Baphomet, which are two bands that really influenced Dying Fetus in their style, and we figured we'd let the fans know, you know, where some of the roots of the band came from like kind of obscure bands that maybe not a lot of people know about.
Now, it's funny you mentioned Baphomet. Is that the same band from Ohio, I believe?
Buffalo. They turned into Banished.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you tell me anything about them?
They were one of the original bands that played the real heavy, quote-unquote, New York style type death metal, a la Cannibal Corpse or, you know, Suffocation. You know, real chunky mosh rhythms, a lot of double bass, gruff vocals, like Grizzly Bear style. So they were one of the originators of the style, but didn't have nearly the level of success in terms of, you know, popularity that a Cannibal Corpse or Suffocation went on to.
Now, I recall seeing them and really enjoying them and their album. There's only one of them, plus an EP. Do you know what happened to it?
Honestly, don't know. We played a show in Rochester, actually, in the springtime of this year, and one of the members of the band was at the show, but I didn't personally speak to him, so I don't know what those guys are up to. I know he was there because somebody told us, that's the guy from Baphomet, so that was cool, you know.
Cool. Well, go on with Dying Fetus.
Okay, so we released the Grotesque Impalement EP, and that's also on our label, Blunt Force Records. And then we decided, okay, it's time to record some new stuff, got to get some new stuff out to the people, and at the same time we realized that we need to step up everything in terms of trying to, you know, make the band bigger and more full-time and take advantage of whatever opportunities are coming our way, because the shows are getting bigger and better and everything. So we decided to sign to Relapse, and this is the current CD, Destroy the Opposition, which was released on October 3rd of this year, the year 2000, and it has 8 songs. It's just about 40 minutes long. It's on Relapse. It should be at all your favorite music stores except for Best Buy. And you can either get it through Relapse mail order or you can get it through the band. We have a couple different websites you can get any of this stuff at, dyingfetus.com or bluntforcerecords.com. Feel free to drop us a line, any inquiries as far as merchandise, or if you want to know anything about the songs, the lyrics, tablature when I get a chance to, you know, get around to writing stuff down. And mainly right now what the band's trying to do is play as many shows as possible. When this tour is over with Vader and Cephalic Carnage and Origin, we're going to Europe to play with Morbid Angel for 11 shows in December. Also on the bill will be Enslaved and The Crown. Vader may be on that tour. I hear rumors that'd be really great if they are. And then in January, we're going to be doing a tour with Cryptopsy and All Out War and Diecast. And then we may be doing a headlining tour on our own with maybe Skinless in February after their album is released on Relapse. So, man, we're just trying to keep things rolling, play as many shows as possible, and get to as many different parts of the globe as we can.
Now, we mentioned all these CDs, you know, so many releases in such a short time. Let's talk about the music for a little bit.
Okay.
How did the music shape throughout all these releases? You know, I mean, obviously the band is not what it used to be from the first release to the last one.
Right.
So how did things change in your opinion?
I believe that through the years, the songwriting has, I don't know if it's gotten better per se, it's just stylistically there's more elements included as the releases, you know, get more to the recent releases, where we're more likely to go back and grab something from like old thrash songs or grab stuff from grindcore. But I mean, all these elements have been prevalent throughout all the songs throughout the entire point in time. I mean, the constants with the dual vocals, with Jason and Jambo singing with the high and the lows, technical parts in addition to mosh rhythms, flying double bass, blast beats. Basically, if you're any kind of fan that's into grindcore, hardcore, or death metal, you're going to find a little bit of something in there that you're going to like consistently throughout all the releases. But the one major difference between all the releases is the level of production, and each one has gotten a little bit better. We record all the stuff at the same studio, Hit and Run Studios in Rockville, Maryland, and the same engineer, Steve Carr, has been there the whole time. So he's recorded everything Dying Fetus has ever recorded. So as his equipment has gotten better over the course of the years, and our knowledge of how to actually get good sounds has increased, the level of production has really, you know, gotten better. So now in Destroy the Opposition, everything is very clear. You can hear all the guitar riffs. You can, you know, hear all the drums. It's not muffled. A little bit on Killing and Adrenaline, it was a little bit muffled in terms of the mastering. There's a little bit more low end in there than the band would have liked. But that's pretty much the deal. As the releases have gotten, you know, to the point in time where it is now, we spend a lot more time on trying to make sure the production is better.
Now, as far as dual vocal goes, not too many bands are doing it. Who influenced the two vocalists to do it?
Pretty much, I know they're big fans of Carcass, Brutal Truth. Obviously, stuff like Napalm Death, you know, where they had the high vocals in addition to Barney's vocals. Pretty much any of the grindcore death metal bands in the early 90s that, you know, started out doing stuff like that, with big influences on John and Jason in terms of the arrangement of the vocals, who would sing what parts, and who would, you know, when they would sing together. Also, like Deeds of Flesh has always done that kind of stuff. You know, they started out around the same time that Dying Fetus did. So